Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Um, have you read chapter 3?
From that McMurray and Faye, right?
Yeah.
No, sir.
I thought you were doing chapter 3, right?
So you're told to do chapter 2.
Okay, so we'll go through chapter 3 then. Open the text. You have the
Yes.
textbook, right? Physical copy you have, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so chapter 3 is equations and stoichiometry. Okay. Stoichiometry basically means mass relationships. Mass relationships when you have chemical reactions. So, for example, 2H2 plus O2 will give 2H2O, right?
Yes, sir.
So you can say that basically 2 moles of hydrogen will react with 1 mole of oxygen to give 2 moles of water, right?
Yes, sir.
These coefficients 2, 1, 2 are what is telling you the ratio of the number of atoms that react with each other, right? So basically 2 atoms must react with 1 atom to give 2 molecules, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean molecules. 2 molecules of hydrogen with 1 molecule of hydrogen should give 1 molecule of water, right?
2
So
molecules.
2 molecules. So the ratio is 2 is to 1 is to 2, and this is going to be valid even if you take 2 Avogadro numbers and 1 Avogadro number and 2 Avogadro number here, because the ratio is still 2 is to 1 is to 2.
Yes, sir.
Why do we take this number? This we had discussed last class, because Avogadro number was chosen in such a way that 1 Avogadro number or 1 mole of something will be the molecular atomic weight in grams, right?
Yes, sir.
So 1 Avogadro number of hydrogen, H2, should be 2 grams. So 2 will be 4 grams, because 1 mole of H2 should weigh 2 grams, because its
Yes,
atomic
sir.
mass units weight is 2 AMU. But the Na number has been chosen in such a way that if you take 1 Na numbers, then whatever is coming in AMU will be in grams, the weight.
Yes, sir.
You understand this point, no?
Yes, sir. I got it.
So basically 2 moles here will mean 4 grams and 1 mole here will mean 32 grams. And this will be 2 moles, so it will be 36 grams, right? So first of all, you are seeing
So it
that
should be.
what?
Okay, no, yes, that's fine.
First of all, mass will be conserved, obviously. You cannot lose mass.
Yes, sir.
And secondly, you are seeing that there is a fixed ratio in which hydrogen and oxygen will react. 1 is to 8 by mass. Only then will you form water, right?
Yes, sir.
The addition of the two masses is adding up to the total mass of water, and also the ratio has to be this fixed value. For some other reaction, if you want to form hydrogen peroxide, then the ratio will be different. So these types of mass relationships in reactions is what we are going to explore in chapter 3, which is stoichiometry. So the first section of the chapter is about balancing the chemical equations. So balancing chemical equations, you already know what to do, right?
Yes, sir.
So why don't you try to balance this reaction? C3H8, C3H8, propane plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide plus water. So try to balance this. Balancing equations. How will you balance this?
So, like, finding whole numbers, which, like, by trial and error.
Okay, so do it. Tell me how you do it. Not done.
So 1 second. Yes, sir, done.
We'll put 3 CO2 here. Then hydrogen is 8 here, so you should have 4 H2O.
And then
And
5
now
O2.
6 plus 4, 10. So you should have 5 O2, right? So the trick to balancing mostly is try to balance first the atoms that are present in the least number of things. So if carbon is present in only 2 places, it will be easy to balance carbon. To balance carbon, then balance hydrogen. Oxygen is present in 3 compounds here, so that is done at the end. First,
Yes,
balance
sir.
the ones that are present in least number of things, and then balance the rest. So you already know balancing, so we'll not spend too much time on this. Then, for example, okay, why don't you try this one also? KClO3 KClO3 plus C12H22O11. This is sugar, sucrose, gives KCl plus CO2 plus H2O, gives KCl plus CO2 plus H2O. This reaction, we want to balance it. Balance first things which are present in least number of places. Look at the carbon. There is only in 2 places, right?
Yes, sir.
So
It's 8 KClO3 plus C12H22O11 gives 8 KCl plus 12 CO2 plus 11 H2.
12 carbon because 12 here, and then similarly 11 H2O here. So you get 24 plus 11, 35 oxygens, and here there is 11, so you need 8 here. And therefore, you need to put an 8 here. So balancing should be fine. The next section is about representing chemistry on different levels. So what does he mean by that? He's talking about how equations and formulas represent atoms and molecules. So what he's saying is, on the macroscopic level, formulas and equations represent the large scale behaviors of atoms and molecules that give rise to visible properties on a macroscopic level. So ultimately, when you're showing a reaction using these symbols, it is actually a real change that is happening, right? And
Yes, sir.
some real properties that are there, right? However, you can look at it also at a microscopic level, where there's a tiny atom and tiny atom, which is atom and molecule, which are combining and giving something else, right? So the chemical formula or an equation can mean different things depending on the context. So for example, the symbol H2O, right, can mean either one tiny invisible molecule, right, one
Yes.
tiny water molecule, or it could also mean a vast collection of molecules large enough to swim in, right?
Yes, sir.
So it depends on the setting and the context in which you are talking about things. What is the meaning that is ascribed to these atoms and molecules and the formulas and equations that you will be writing? Anyway, that is fairly straightforward. Then let's go ahead here. Now, chemical arithmetic, stoichiometry, right? So this is just telling you that in a balanced chemical equation, if you have a balanced chemical equation, then any reaction that takes place, balanced equation, any reaction that takes place will have reactants and products in the same ratio as the coefficients in that equation. Will have reactants and products in the same ratio as the coefficients in that balanced equation. So that we know already, that when I'm writing this 2H2 plus 1O2, I mean that two atoms and two molecules and one molecule and gives two molecules, right? So it has to be in that fixed ratio. Reactions cannot happen in arbitrary ratios. They will not randomly combine, right?
Yes.
So that gives us a very easy way to find out how much of something will react with another compound, right? Because if you know the chemical equation, then you know the exact ratio in which things should combine, right? So
Yes, sir.
you will be able to predict, given a certain amount of one reactant, you should be able to say how much of the second reactant is necessary, right, to make the reaction happen.
Yes, sir.
If you have more of the second reactant, then what will happen is it will be left over, right? At the end of the reaction, it might be left over, correct?
Yes, sir. Makes sense.
And
Engagement.
if it has less of the second reactant than is required, then what will happen is the reaction will not happen to completely. The first reactant will not be completely used up. Only part of it will be used up till how much it can use the second reactant, how much is available, right?
Yes, sir.
So the first reactant will be left over then, right?
Yes, sir.
So these concepts will be using a lot to solve a lot of problems regarding chemical equations. So that is what we are going to see now. So for example, right now he's talking about molecular mass or formula mass. So he's saying, just as the atomic mass of an element is the average mass of the element's atoms, the molecular mass of a substance is the average mass of the substance's molecules, right? So numerically, molecular mass, or more generally formula mass, to include both ionic and molecular substances, equals the sum of atomic masses of all the atoms in the molecule. So this is fairly straightforward. We know this already, right? So molecular mass of water, for example, will be what? Tell me.
Sir, 18 grams.
No, you cannot say 18 grams. You'll have to say 18 grams per mole, or you'll have to say 18 AMU.
Okay, yes, sir. 18 AM.
Molecular mass of water cannot be 18 grams. No, dude. One molecule is 18 grams. No?
Sir, 18 AMU.
Yeah. 18 AMU or 18 grams per mole.
Yes, sir.
So for example, hydrogen fluoride HCl, how much is the molecular mass?
36.5
Okay.
AMU.
Okay. So then now that we know that in any balanced equation, the things will be in a particular ratio. So now we can calculate actually the mass ratios of any reaction. So mass ratios of substances that take part in any reaction, we can easily calculate. So for example, question is this. Look at problem 3.6 in the book. Try to solve it. Problem 3.6. I will write it here. Aspirin is prepared by the reaction of salicylic acid C7H6O3. C7H6O3 is reacted with C4H6O3, acetic anhydride, plus C4H6O3 to give C9H8O4, which is aspirin. C9H8O4 aspirin plus CH3COOH, acetic acid, CH3COOH. Okay. Now he's saying how many grams of acetic anhydride are needed to react with 4.5 grams of salicylic acid. This is acetic anhydride, and you have salicylic acid here. You have 4.5 grams of this, and your question is how many grams of acetic anhydride are needed? So what is the first thing that you will look here? What is the first thing that you're supposed to think here?
So balancing.
Yeah, you have to check whether the equation is balanced or not. If it is not balanced, you have to balance it. So look at the carbons. There are 11 carbons here. There are 11 carbons here. Hydrogens, there are 6 and 6, 12, and here 8, and here 4, right?
12. Yes, sir.
Oxygen, there are 6, and here 4, and here 2. So it is balanced, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is good. So then you have 1 mole of this will react with 1 mole of this to give 1 mole of this and 1 mole of this, right?
Yes, sir.
Then now solve the question. 4.5 grams of salicylic acid is available. How much grams of acetic anhydride is necessary now? What is the idea? What are you doing? How are you trying?
So you have to find the molecular mass of B.
You don't have to find molecular mass of A.
So like you do, but I'm like doing B.
Mhm.
So A is 138 AMU and B is 102 AMU.
Okay. B is 48 plus 4896 plus 102. Okay. So what will you do with that?
So A is 138 and you have only 4.5 grams of A. So you have to find like the ratio of like how many moles is available.
So how many moles are available in A?
4.5 by 138.
4.5 grams by 138 grams per mole, right?
Yes, sir.
This becomes 4.5 by 138 mole of one reactant is present. So how many moles of reactant are necessary this side?
So the same amount.
So this many moles of salicylic acid will react with this many moles only of acetic anhydride, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the mass that is required? Grams of acetic anhydride will be how much? 4.5 by 138 mole
In
into 102
102.
gram per mole. Be careful about the units and use the units in your calculation. Don't
Yes, sir.
just keep multiplying numbers and all. You have to know how to multiply and cancel units and all,
Yes, sir.
because later it will become complicated. Just say 102 gram per mole multiplied by this many mole, you'll get grams, right?
Yes, sir.
So 45 into 102 by 138 into 10. This calculation, now you have to get used to also one more thing is doing calculations by yourself without calculators.
Yes, sir.
Don't use calculators now that you are studying in 11th and 12th. You cannot use them. Okay. So you have to do rough calculations in your own head or by on pen and paper, but you cannot use a calculator. So get used to that and get into the habit of that. So how will you do this?
So canceling.
5259, right? And then
Yes,
this
sir.
is 51 and this is 459. 459 by 138. So 3 times it will be 390 and 24. So 414. So 3 point, then there will be 45 left for 450. 3 point, again 3, 3.3 almost, right? So approximately 3.3 grams will be required. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Which sort of makes sense because this is heavier and this is lighter, right? So more grams of this is needed with 1:1 ratio, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct. So that is the first part of the question. And the second part is how many grams of aspirin will result. It's the same thing. You have to do this many moles of aspirin should come out, right?
Yes, sir.
You have to multiply it by aspirin's mass, right? So molecular mass. So that will be 72 plus, no, 12 nines are 108 plus 8, 116 plus 64. So 180, right? 4.5 by 138 into 180 gram, right?
Yes, sir.
So after that, again, you have to do the calculations. This will be 720 plus 90, so 810 by 138. So you can do the rough calculation. 405 by, this is 69. 69, 6 the 369, 6 the 54. No. So
So by 3.
what? 5, no. By 3. So you are dividing by 3.
Yes.
23, and this will become
135.
135. Okay, so now it will be 23 fives are 115, 20. So 9,
5 point.
9 something.
Yes, sir.
5.9 grams or something will come out aspirin, right? So this is a fairly straightforward question, nothing very complicated here. Now the next section is basically talking about yields of chemical reaction. Okay, so what do you mean by a yield of a chemical reaction? So what it means is basically that not all reactions go to completion. Okay, so it's not like whenever some reaction happens 100% of the substance reacts, right? That is very rare. That is very rare that you will find 100% reactions. So what
Yes.
happens mostly is A plus B gives C plus D, let's say, and you have X moles here and Y moles here, moles, and 0 and 0 initially. This is X1 and X2, let's say. Then finally what will happen is X2 will be left over, Y2 will be left over, and some Z1 and Z2 will be formed. Okay. You understand what is going on? So there is a there is some amount of A will react, some amount of B will react, and C and D will be formed, but not all of it. Okay, not all of A and B will react. You understand what I'm saying?
So you're saying not like whatever A and B is there, like some of it will react and produce
Yeah.
like the products.
Some of it will react and produce some amount of C and D, but not 100%. It will not be 0, 0.
Yes, sir.
Like not 100% reaction will not happen. Some amount will be left over. So basically what we define yield is that yield is equal to actual amount of product by theoretical amount of product. Actual amount of product that you saw in the experiment, right? Divided by theoretical amount of product that you would have predicted.
Yes, sir.
And that prediction is assuming 100%. Theoretical amount that you would have predicted multiplied by 100. So this will give a percentage yield, percent yield, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is what he's saying here. So he's saying, for example, if a given reaction could provide 6.9 gram of a product according to its stoichiometry, but actually provides only 4.7 gram, right? Then its percentage yield is 4.7 by 6.9 into 100%. So 68%, right?
Yes, sir.
So for example, now we look at a couple of questions here. Let's see problem 3.7 and 3.8. Okay. So problem 3.7 is ethyl alcohol, that one. 3.7 ethyl alcohol or C2H5OH. C2H5OH is being prepared industrially by the reaction of ethylene with water. What is the percentage yield of the reaction if 4.6 gram of ethylene gives 4.7 grams of ethyl alcohol? Okay. So the reaction is this: H2O gives C2H5OH, right? So notice that this is the balanced reaction. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right? And what he's saying is 4.6 grams of this is giving you 4.7 grams of this, right? Correct. And you have to find percentage yield right now.
Yes, sir.
So, so think about it. What is the number of moles of this that has present in 4.6 gram? So this is carbon is 24 and this 28, right? So 4.6 by 28 gram by gram per mole, right?
Yes, sir.
So that is becoming 4.6 by 28 mole, right?
Yes, sir.
So that many mole should give that many mole of product, no? 4.6 by 28 mole of C2H5OH should have come out, right?
Yes, sir.
However, we will find that this mass will be greater than this. Okay. So actual amount of C2H5OH is not that much.
Yes, it'll be less.
So let's calculate how much is the theoretical amount that should have come out. Theoretical amount that came out would have been 4.6 by 228 multiplied by molar mass of this, which is 24 plus 6. So 30 plus 16, so 46, right? 46 gram. This is what is coming out. Okay. This is the theoretical amount that would have come, right?
Yes, sir.
So the real amount is 4.7 grams, right? So yield percentage is real amount, which is 4.7 divided by theoretical amount, which is 4.6 into 46 into 28, right? Into 100, right?
Yes, sir.
So this becomes 47, this becomes 46, and you have 47 into 28 divided by 46 into 46, right? And into 100%. So this is almost 1, and 28 by 46 is 14 by 23. So this is like 14 by 23 is 0.145, 6 za 138, almost 60%, right? 0.60 something will come into 100, so that will be 60%. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Basically, you can calculate this out. This is more than 4.7. Okay. And 4.7 by the theoretical amount into 100 is almost 60%. So that is the yield of this particular reaction. Are you understanding?
Yes, sir.
So solve the next one, problem 3.8. Are you getting what to do here?
Yes, sir. You have to calculate the number of moles of each.
1.85 kgs of methane is there. So how many moles are there? And then predicted amount would be equal moles, right? Dichloromethane. Predicted amount, like what is the theoretical amount of dichloromethane that will be produced? That will be equal moles of methane, right?
Yes, sir.
But actual amount produced will be 43.1% of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you just have to calculate number of moles of first methane in 1.85 kgs, and after that you can go ahead. What is the mass, molecular mass of methane? Molecular mass of methane. Hello?
Hello.
What is the molecular mass of methane?
So 16 grams per
16
mole.
grams per mole, and there is 1.85 kgs. Basically 1850 grams divided by 16 grams per mole. So mole comes on top.
115.6.
So, okay, so this becomes 8925. right? So 1, 1, and 5.5, right? 625. This is the moles, right?
Yes, sir.
This many moles of CH2Cl2 should be produced, right? Ideally,
Yes, sir.
but 43.1% only is reacting, right? So
Yes, sir.
43.1 by 100 into this many moles into CH2Cl2's grams and all, like that is carbon 12 and 2 14 and 71. So 85 grams per mole, right? Correct. This is
Yes,
the
sir.
weight. So mole cancels here. This is the answer. Now you have to calculate it. 43.1 into 1.15625 into 85 grams. So you can sort of calculate this 1.16 into 43 into 85. So just multiplication, right? If you divide
Yes,
by
sir.
1000, you will get amount in kgs. So divide by 1000. So this will become 4.3 into 0.85, right? 4.3 into 1.16 into 0.85, right?
Yes, sir.
4.3 into 1.16 into 0.8. So 4.3 into 1.2 is 430 and 86. So 5.1 into 0.8. So 0.8 will be 8 by 10 into 51. 8 into 51 is 408, right? So almost 4 grams. Approximately 4 grams. Okay. 4
Yes.
kgs. This is not in grams. This is in
Oh,
kgs.
yes, sir.
4 kgs worth of stuff will come out. CH2Cl2. Okay. So you can check the answer. I think there are answers for these questions at the end. So you can check the answer. Problem 3.8 answers will be at the end. However, we will continue. We'll go ahead to section 3.5 with reactions when there are limiting reagents, limiting amount of reactants. So this is what we were discussing earlier. Reactions with limiting amounts of reactants. Limiting amount of reactants. So what do we mean by limiting amounts? We mean that there
One
is,
reactant gets used up before.
suppose something like this is supposed to happen and you are supposed to have X moles of this and X moles of this to give X moles of this. This is the regular thing that was expected. However, you have 1 mole of this and 2 moles of this, right? Suppose.
Yes, sir.
Then obviously 2 moles cannot react. No, you
Yes,
will
sir.
have 1 mole left over and 0 mole of this and 1 mole of this, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically B is called the limiting reactant. B is the limiting factor, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
B decides how much of the reaction will happen. So that is a fairly straightforward idea. So we'll just go over to the examples and all. This is not very difficult. Let's just go down to the problems in this. So problem number 3.9. Problem 3.9. Lithium oxide is used aboard the space shuttle to remove water from the air supply. If 80 kgs of water is to be removed and 65 kgs of Li2O is available, which reactant is limiting and how many kilograms of the excess reactant remain? Okay, so you have lithium oxide like this, solid plus water gives LiOH, I think, LiOH2. Okay. And you have how much water that has to be removed? 80 kg.
80 kg.
and you have 65 kgs of lithium oxide. Now you have to decide which one is the limiting reactant here and how much of the excess will be left over. Okay. What is the mass of lithium?
So I don't know.
You need to see the periodic table. I think it is 7.3. You need to be aware of masses of first 40, okay?
Sir, I know the more common ones.
First 20 to for sure you need to know. First 20 atomic numbers. You need to know all of them. So lithium will be 7. Just check once. 7.3 lithium.
Yes, sir, 7.
So this one will be 14 plus 16. So 30 gram per mole, right? Right.
Yes, sir.
And this is 18 grams per mole. So how many moles of water are there in 80 kgs? So 80,000 divided by 18, right? Moles.
Yes, sir.
And how many are here? 65,000 divided by 30, right? So obviously, which is smaller? Li2O is lesser amount, no?
Yes, sir.
Why are you not saying it? This is
Yes,
clearly
sir.
smaller than this, no?
Yes, sir.
So Li2O is the limiting reagent, limiting reactant, right? Correct.
Yes, sir.
So first, all of this will be consumed, right? All of this will be
Yes, sir.
completely consumed. What will be left is, see, right now ratio is 1:1, no? So what will be left is 80,000 by
Minus
18 minus 65,000 by
65,000 by 30.
this is the number of moles of water that will be left. So you can multiply by that by 18 to get grams of water that will be left, right?
Yes, sir.
So this will be 80,000 minus 65,000 into 18 by 30, which is 3 by 5, right? So this will become 13,000, 39,000. You have to subtract from 80,000. So that will be 41,000. 41,000 grams. So 41 kgs, right? Of
Yes, sir.
water will be left over. So basically this lithium oxide will be able to handle only 39 kgs of water, right?
Yes, sir.
Which makes sense because in this reaction C, it was 30:18 ratio of mass, right? So it
Yes,
was
sir.
5:3 ratio of mass. So 65 kg should react with 39 kgs, right?
Yes, sir.
You understand?
Yes, I got it.
Okay. Then the next thing is problem 3.10. Do that. You understand what is the question here?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
So they're given they're asking how much CO2 can 500 grams of LiOH absorb.
How will you find that?
So you have to find the molecular mass of LiOH and CO2
Mhm.
and find the amount of moles of LiOH.
Moles of LiOH will, molecular mass of LiOH is how much?
34 AMU.
No. 24,
Oh,
no.
24, sorry, yes.
24 grams per mole. So how many moles? 500 by 24 moles.
Yes.
500 by 24 moles of LiOH will absorb how many moles of CO2?
Same.
And what is 1 mole of CO2 going to weigh?
44 grams per mole.
So the answer will be 500 by 24 into 44, right?
Yes, sir.
Now make that calculation. Just simply 500 by 24 into 44. So by 11 and then 6. So this is 250 by 3. And basically now it becomes 250 into 11. Okay. So 250, 2500, 2750 by 3, right? So 916.66, right?
Yes, sir.
916 grams of carbon dioxide can be absorbed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we will also discuss what happens when reactions happen when they are in solution. So section 3.6 will talk about reactants and products in solution. So many reactions actually happen when things are dissolved and then mixed. You hardly see ever reactions where solids are reacting with each other. Like in the lab, you will not do reactions where you'll mix two solids and then reaction will happen. Because
Yes.
why is that? Why will you not do such reactions?
So they don't like mix like
They will not
homogeneously.
mix very well, right? So
Yes, sir.
so for reactions to happen properly, you need like a proper mixing where they can lot of molecules can interact with each other, right? Reactants molecules.
Yes, sir.
However, when you mix solids and all, it will not be homogeneous. It will be completely unreacted. It will remain many of the solid elements, right?
Yes, sir.
So most of the reactions are done in solution form mostly, or maybe gases and all can react because gases are completely mobile, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you measure the amount of substance that is there in a solution? So for example, if I take a solution of NaCl in aqueous solution means water, right? So you need to be able to compare one NaCl solution with another version of the NaCl solution which has more salt, right? Like because each and every NaCl solution is not the same, because some might have less amount of NaCl, some might have more, right?
Yes, sir.
So how do you compare whether this solution is how concentrated? So you say
Molarity.
concentrated or dilute. Basically, these are the two terms that you use. You say that
Yes.
it is dilute if there is very little amount of NaCl in the solution, and it is concentrated if there is a lot of NaCl in the solution, right? But
Yes, sir.
these are subjective sort of statements. The best way is to have a measure, have a mathematical measure that will help us find out the amount of NaCl present in solution. So people have defined a measure called molarity of a solution. Molarity of a solution is called moles of solute divided by liters of solution. Moles of solute by liters of solution. So basically, how much moles of solute have you added and what is the final volume of the solution, right?
Yes, sir.
Now you need to be able to convert liters and all. What is 1 liter? 1 liter is 1000 milliliter,
ML.
right?
Yes.
And 1 ml is 1 centimeter. 1 milliliter is how much? In centimeter cube, it will be 1 centimeter cube. Okay.
Yes.
Why? Because density of water is what? 1 gram per
1 gram per
centimeter cube,
centimeter cube.
right? And if 1 milliliter was 1 centimeter cube, then 1000 grams will be there in 1000 milliliter, right? Which is 1 liter. And you know that 1 kg of water, 1 kg is the weight of 1 liter, right?
Yes.
So basically that is a way to connect the milliliter and centimeter cube. So you should know that 1 milliliter is 1 centimeter cube, and the SI unit, however, right, 1 liter therefore becomes 1000 centimeter cube, right?
Yes, sir.
So you have to have 1000 liters, which will become 10 power 6 centimeter cube, which is equal to 1 meter cube, right?
Yes,
Because
sir.
1 meter is 100 centimeters. No, so 1 meter cube will be 10 power 6 centimeter cube, right?
Yes, sir.
So basically you need to know SI units and all will be different, but these common units you need to be aware of converting and all. Don't make mistakes here. 1000 liters is 1 meter cube, right? And if you write density of water as 1000 kg per meter cube, that makes sense now, right? Because 1
Yes.
meter cube is actually 1000 liters, right?
Yes, sir.
So 1 kg per liter, that is the reality of the water's weight, right? So volume is mostly measured in this liters of solution. Notice that this is solution. This is not just solvent. Okay.
Yes, sir. Solute plus solvent.
So it is solute plus solvent. Final volume of the thing that is the solution, right?
Yes.
And this is moles of solute, which is whatever you have added and dissolved, right? So that is something that we have figured out. Now, calculating molarity and all, some basic questions will be there here in this section. If you see worked example 3.11, what is the molarity of a solution made by dissolving this much gram of H2SO4 and diluting it to a final volume of 50 ml, right? So basically you're dissolving sulfuric acid in water. So moles of solute will be 2.355 divided by sulfuric acid's 98 grams per mole, right? Correct.
Yes, sir.
So 2.355 by 98 is the moles of solute, and divide that by liters of solution. So how much volume is the solution? 50 ml, right? So that is actually
sir.
1 by 20 liters, right? So divided by 1 by 20 means you have to multiply by 20 at the end. 2.355 into 20 by 98 will be the answer. And the unit will be called molar. So you will write a capital M if it was 1 mole per liter, right? Then that is written as 1 molar. This is called molar. If it was 1 mole of solute per liter of solution, you would have called it 1 molar. So whatever comes an answer out of this, you will write in terms of capital M units.
Yes,
right?
sir.
Okay. So this is molarity, and this will help you calculate how much of a reaction will happen, even if some of the reactants are in as part of a solution, right? Like you'll not
Yes.
always get gases or solids and all. You will get situations where some things are dissolved. So you will calculate their moles and all by finding out their molarity. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We'll stop here for now. We'll do another chemistry class soon, like Wednesday probably. What we will do is on Wednesday is we will try to finish this chapter. So you should read up from 3.7 onwards to the end. Okay.
I have to read from 3.7 till the end, right?
3.7 till the end. Try to finish the theory of this chapter. We will try
Yes,
to
sir.
finish the theory in that class and try to solve some chapter problems and all. That is what we'll be discussing.
Yes, sir.
So I will schedule a class on Wednesday sometime for chemistry. Monday and Tuesday also there will be classes. There will be maths and physics.
So Mondays, so you said physics and maths, right?
Physics and maths, whatever.
So tomorrow is physics.
Yeah. So just let me know your Allen schedule and all so that I can plan accordingly. It will be either before or after, whatever.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's in the evening.
No,
At
whenever
from-
there is free time for you.
So it's there from 5 to 8, so anytime before.
So before we'll do that, 3 o'clock or 3:30 or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. I'll see you then tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you, sir.